Alright, what is up guys, it's Zero here, and today I have for you my deck profile for Jewel Knights. So, this was a deck that I had no intention of building, but the game decided to give me like 6 Ashleys and like 7 Mirandas, so here we are now. It turns out it was a good thing, because this deck is actually really good. I think this deck is very good. If you saw my tier list, I did put this deck up in like the tier 1, like the really good deck category. And I still think this deck is very powerful. One of your worst matchups in Astra is like no longer a deck now. Because I am recording this post nerf, so this is definitely a month late. But that aside, this deck is very powerful. I think it's very good. I still think it's really good. Been playing a little less now just because I'm kind of getting bored of it, but that doesn't change the fact of how good the deck is. So without further ado, here's the deck list. Once the game has to load, and give it a moment. 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 There we go. There we go. Alright, so this is the list. Again, I'll do the usual, just go by card, why I play what cards, why I play them certain ratios, yada, all the good stuff. First off, the starter, I choose to play Tiffany. So, her skill, you don't know what she does is, most importantly, she's a Jewel Knight name. That is very important, because Ashlei Yaeverse can only lock Jewel Knights, and obviously other Jewel Knight cards look for other Jewel Knight names, and she is indeed one, so yeah, that is one of the reasons why we run her. But her skill is Forerunner, and put her into Soul, and give 2 of your Jewel Knight rears plus 3k. So you can either choose to give like 3k to like 2 different lanes, or you can give like 6k to one lane and just scale like 21k plus. This is all she's used for. She's used to help make sure like lanes or lanes or cards hit. This is all she's used for. If I remember correctly, the only other Jewel Knight starter is Heloise, and since you're not playing Salome anymore, or you could be playing her, but even if you are, she isn't your main game plan anymore. So there's really not a point in playing AK Booster, in my opinion. 7k is good enough. And you're locking your back row half the time anyways, and Heloise goes behind the Vanguard, so she'd literally just be a 5k vanilla that you lock half the time. So yeah. Not to mention she also doesn't get her skill if you lock stuff, so yeah. She just kind of becomes a 5k vanilla. Tiffany can kind of do things. She isn't amazing, but she's on in. She comes up every once in a while, or actually she actually does come up every game. We just want to scale her lanes properly, so yeah. She is probably the best starter you can play. The only other starter I'd consider would be Libergol, but the problem with Libergol is that he is not on name, so you can't lock him. So in situations where you already have all your Ashleys and stuff, the Libergol just something you can't lock, and it doesn't scale properly with your cards unless you use like a Miranda skill to give it power. So yeah. That's why I really choose to run the Tiffany. There are times where I wish I had the Libergol, but it doesn't come up often enough that I'm like, damn, I wish I was playing Libergol instead. So yeah. Grade 1s, the obvious PGs. But before I get any deeper, I am playing the pure build where you use the Mirandas over like a build using Gancelot and Blaster Blade. Now at first I was like, damn, you don't play Gancelot and Blaster Blade, right? That package is too good, but turns out Miranda's a really good card. So here we are, we're playing the list without Gancelot and Blaster Blade. Still wish we could play the deck with Gancelot and Blaster Blade, but Miranda says no, Miranda's too good. So yeah. And back to cards, the PG. So just so I don't say this every time. Everything in this deck is on name, and that is because Miranda needs your entire deck to be Jewel Knight name. So yeah, we are playing the Jewel Knight PG, the Assault, the Flashing Jewel Knight Assault, I think is her name, but yeah, whatever. It's the new PG where only procs and lethal, and it's on name. That's all that matters. It's a PG that's on name. Next, for a new card, we're playing the Alwyn. Remember what is her name? The Alwyn. Honestly, your Grey 1 options kind of suck, but this card doesn't suck. This card's actually pretty good. So her skill is remove an Ashlei in your drop zone from the game. So just remove it from the game. It's no longer in your drop zone. It's not in your bind. You're not putting it back in your deck or anything. You just remove it from the game, and then you give any Ashlei unit plus 5k power. So it turns all your Ashleys and drops into a 5k power pump. 5k power pump lets you scale your lanes properly. This is the best grade 1 in the deck, so I played at 4 at Raisin. This card is just so good. You turn, because you have 8 Ashleis in your deck. You trigger them, or they're dead in your hand. You can just play over them, put them in the drop, use them, scale your Vanguard lane usually. And yeah, she's basically used just to scale your lanes. If you have nothing better to play, so you play her at 4. But honestly, this card does put in a lot of work, and I definitely do think that she, along with the ping, are the mandatory 4s, and I think any other grade 1 line is honestly just wrong because I don't think filters are good. Also, filters are kind of weird as hell in this deck because when you lock stuff, you don't count the cards that are locked, so that's one less name for you to count for your filters. Sometimes they're just dead. And then again, since you lock things now, the Shelly, the 10k attacker, she's basically never a 10k attacker. So yeah, those 2 cards are kind of don't do anything when your board is locked. This card does do things, and then obviously the other one is the self ping. So yeah, on play you ping. Yeah, it's a self ping. You play this card because, again, you don't have much better to play, but this card's good because although you are playing a break ride, a lot of the times you might ride the base Ashlei first, and then even when the opponent doesn't give you 4 damage, you might just ride on top of her anyways with the reverse Ashlei, and then just ping yourself to 4 instead and start playing your game plan like a turn earlier. Because honestly, the break ride's honestly, like, it's kind of whatever. It's like 10k power, it's cool, all break rides do that. You get a crit, it's kind of cool. And you get a grade 1, but the break ride's honestly kind of underwhelming. You honestly play the Ashlei just so you can use Alwyn's skill more, and for cross ride base, which is actually really important in my opinion in this deck. So yeah, ping is nice because it lets you enable your gameplay earlier. You can search these with stuff like Tilda and the break ride if you need to, but at that point you're already at 4, so yeah, that's kind of redundant. Yeah, you play this. You play it because so you can enable your gameplay earlier. You don't have to wait for break ride to do things. So yeah. And then lastly, the one of is the filter, the Prismy. I play it as the one of because Shelly is almost always a 7k vanilla that does absolutely nothing. This is a 7k vanilla that sometimes does something. That sometimes basically never comes up, but it can come up. Therefore, I think this card's better than the Shelly. I think Shelly is god awful in this deck. It's basically never a 10k attacker because if it's early on in the game, nothing's locked. But at that point, at that point in the game, you're committing early, so you don't have a hand, and that's kind of bad. But late in the game, she's just a vanilla 7k booster, and at that point, the Alwyn and the Prismy both do that job, but better because they can sometimes do things. So yeah, that's why I don't choose to play the Shelly. I choose to play the one Prismy in there, and I think the Alwyn and the Pings are the mandatory 4-ups in the grade 1 line. Alright, so moving on to grade 2, we'll start with the new card, the best card in the deck, the reason why you play this deck, to be honest. Actually, is this and actually Yaeverse. Those 2 cards just skyrocketed the deck to a whole new level. So her skill is during your turn, if your Vanguard is an Ashlei, plus 2k, so she's an 11k attacker by herself. She can hit solo, that is very important considering you're locking your back row all the time. And then her other skill is, when this card hits the Vanguard, and your Vanguard is an Ashlei, you can give something 3k. You can give anything 3k. Oh, so this skill is always live, even if you don't have Jewel Knights in it. Even if you're playing like Gancelot and Blaster Blade in the deck, or like whatever other cards you might want to play in the deck, the her being an 11k attacker and her giving 3k to a card is always live. That skill will always work no matter what what's in your deck. But her other skill is if your deck only contains Jewel Knight cards, you can check top 3 and add any card to hand. So funny thing about this skill is since if you can use her search skill, since your entire deck are Jewel Knights, everything is a valid target. Therefore, you don't show to your opponent what gets added to the hand. So that's just cool. Another thing is I did do an experiment on stream. If you are playing, like, let's say you're playing like one not Jewel Knight card in your deck for whatever reason, if that card is out of your deck, you can actually use her skill. She checks for what's currently inside of your deck and not like the composition of your deck. So yeah, that's just cool. But that shouldn't ever come up because you shouldn't be playing like a random 1-up or whatever. So yes, yeah, like in the rare chance that you are playing Gancelot and Blaster Blade in this deck, and like they're all out of your deck, you can use her skill, but that's never gonna come up, basically ever, because it has 8 cards, and 4 cards are returning the deck, and like 4 goes back into the deck. So unless you like trigger all your Blaster Blades are out, it'll never work. This is basically Game Studio's way of telling you stop playing Gancelot and Blaster Blade, play this instead. Yeah, this card is very powerful because if you just look at the card advantage wise, Ashlei is a +1. because she locks 2 cards you don't actually lose. You just don't get to use them for the turn. You call a card from deck, that's a +1. If you call Miranda and she hits, that's another card to get into your hand. That's a +2. So the way this deck ends up playing is you just outvalue your opponent throughout the entire game, slowly chipping away at them, doing like 2 damage a turn while outgrinding them outgrinding them through resources, because you +1 to 2 every turn, and you're getting 2 damage in every turn. So yeah, very, very good. Very, very good. And then next off, for the other grade 2, I'm playing 4 of the... I don't even know her name. She's the 12k. The 12k. I don't know her name. You have 4 more Jewel Knights. 4 more other Jewel Knight rares? I actually don't remember what the condition is. She's basically a 9k vanilla, as far as I'm concerned. Because on your turn she's a 9k vanilla. On your opponent's turn she's sometimes she's at 12k most of the time. Yeah, you play her because the Jewel Knight grade 2s kind of suck. I would say, aside from the 4 Mirandas, everything else is up to preference. I would say, because all your other grade 2 suck. Like I play her just because she's sometimes annoying to get over, and she can sometimes scale early with like a 7k with the Alwyn or the Prismy to make 19, but the card's kind of whatever. And then next I play 3 of the Tildas. Again, like I said, you can play more of her if you want. I'm personally not that impressed with this card. I actually like the 12k a little more than the Tilda. But if you don't know, her skill is when you ride a grade 3 Jewel Knight, you can CV1 to call a grade 1 from your deck. It's a CV1 +1, but the quality of the plus is kind of low because it's like just a grade 1, just a booster. You have enough ways to get to your boosters as is. You still play her, again, you have something better to play, but I think 3 is enough. You could play 4, you could play less, you could play more, you could not play her. Actually, not playing her seems kind of sus, because at that point you're playing like the shitty 11k attacker or the Sybil, and Sybil's actual garbage. So yeah. I play 3 of her, and then finally for the round it up, I'm playing 2 more Self Pings. I personally find that 4 is not enough. 5 is like a jank number to me, and since your grade 2s kind of suck to begin with, I might as well play an extra one, right? So yeah, so he's just a Self Ping. I play 6 Self Pings total. I think 6 is more than enough. I think like 4 is a little too little. 5, I'd say 5 or 6 is probably around right for Self Pings. I personally like the extra ping. You can honestly play 8 pings if you want, but I don't think I've ever ran into a situation where I wish I had that many, because these things are still understated cards. There's still 6k boosters and 8k attackers. So they still need boosters or things that can actually scale properly to hit stuff. So yeah. I'll only play 2 of him, but yeah. Next off, we'll go to grade 3s. We'll start off with the boss unit of the deck, the new card, one of the cards that makes the deck really good, the Ashlei Reverse. So her skill is Limerick 4, once per turn you CB1, you lock 2 Jewel Knight Raiders. This was lock 1 IRL. So this did get nerfed, this kind of sucks, but it's still workable. You lock 2, you retire one of your opponent's front row rear guards, and then you call a Jewel Knight from your deck. Now, not grade restricted, you can call whatever you want. Usually you call a Miranda, because she's obviously your best target. And yeah, that's her skill. You CB1, lock 2, you retire 1, call 1 from deck. This is what lets you poke through intercepts and actually do more than 1 damage a turn, and the plus is always nice, because even when you're out of Mirandas, it's still a +1, because you're still calling something from your deck. Usually it's an intercept. And then cross ride with the break ride Ashlei, with the original Ashlei. So what you usually you end up locking the Vanguard booster and another rear booster, and then Miranda's your solo attacker, and then you have another lane on the other side. So assuming your cross ride, your lanes are like 11, 13, 16. And if you use the Alwyn to give this Ashlei power, she becomes 18, so you'll end up having like 11, 16, 18, and then assuming their first damage isn't a defensive, if they're at like 3 and you're doing this because you pinged early, and the only 1 intercept because it was like turn 3 or something, you can... I guess it wouldn't work 10-3, but like, regardless, this number scale really nice. You'll be 11, 16, 21, because 11 plus 2k from Crossrise 13, plus the 5k from Alwyn is 18, plus the extra 3k from Miranda is 21. So you make exactly magic numbers, which is really, really nice when you have Crossrise base. So I personally do just go for I do try to go for the Crossrise base, but if like the game state got rushed and you're forced to do things immediately, you will still just go straight into reverse Ashlei, and you don't feel too bad about it, because the break ride skill, the actual Ashlei break ride skill is kind of whatever. You honestly play her just because she's a name for Alwyn, and it's enables cross ride base. But yeah, that has nothing to do with Ashlei Reverse. Ashlei Reverse is a good card because she lets you poke damage, she retires, He retires and she calls a card from your decks. Yeah, she's just good because she's good value. And then next, the card that I rambled on a bit before was the base Ashlei. So her skill is a Break Ride, 10k crit, call a grade 1 joint from deck. And then the Waterfall skill, attacking mana plus 3k. Yeah, this card is super under. This card is not that good. You play her because she's on name, she enables cross red base. Yeah, I wish this card was better. This card's Break Ride skill is not that good. The crit is nice though, because if your opponent's at 3 with double intercept, you Break Ride, you kill an intercept, you swing a rear into a rear, and then you swing like a Miranda into face, push them to 4, you have power to your Vanguard, your Vanguard checks for a PG, and then you just keep chipping them down away from there. But that's assuming you can actually survive their turn. But since Miranda can dig for PGs and stuff, you usually are able to survive, and you just grind them out like that. But yeah, this card is honestly whatever. I would not play it if I didn't have to, but you kind of have to. So yeah. The next, this is where my build differs from some other lists, but I choose to play Julia on heal over most lists that are playing Salome on heal. So the first reason is I only own 2 Salomes, but that's not. I wouldn't even play her. I wouldn't play her as my heal even if I had 4. The reason I choose to play the Julia on heal is because she gives you, if she gives you a better lethal turn, if you're on Ashlei and you need to break right and you need to end the game on the spot there, because if your opponent's at 4. If you break out reverse Ashlei, you're still at most getting, what, 1 PG check? Yeah, 1 PG check. Because you can only, assuming they have double intercept, you assume, and there are 4 double intercept, you Break Ride, you do the cool call stuff, you get the crit, you pop 1 rear, and then you go rear to rear, rear to rear, Vanguard to Vanguard, or rear to rear, rear to Vanguard, 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 and it's still only 1 PG check. With the Julia, she gives you a better kill turn, because with Julia now you can go, oh yeah, I should probably explain what she does for if you don't know. So her skill is Limit Break 4 on attack. She gets the skill at the end of the battle that she attacked. You CB2, and then call Jewel Knights from your deck equal to the crit that she has. So since the Break Ride gives you a crit, you get to call 2 cards. So what you do is go rear to rear unboosted, rear to rear unboosted, Vanguard, Vanguard to Vanguard, your 2 crits, and they're at 4, you check for the PG there. And then you call 2 cards from deck and you get 2 more attacks in. Obviously assuming triggers, ignoring triggers and defenses and all that stuff, but that gives you 2 PG checks as opposed to Ashlei, so that she gives you a better potential lethal turn. So yeah, that's why I choose to play her instead. I think she offers more to the deck than Salome. Salome also kind of really sucks without Blaster Blade, because for one, you have to cut Heloise because you're not playing her anymore, so she can't seal properly in the Vanguard lane, because she only hits at most 20k. You run the risk of running to a defensive, and without Blaster Blade, you don't have to wait to cheat that extra damage if they're at 3. If they're at 3 and you already did your regular turn, and they slam double instant on the next turn, you go rear, rear, okay, you push them to 5, okay, they're not dead now. Okay, now you're dead, so yeah. I think Salome lost out, because Salome without the Blaster Blade, she just feels super underwhelming. So yeah, that's why I choose to not play the Salome as my heal. Even if I had her, I wouldn't play her. The new card we got kind of sucks. I don't remember. The Camille? That card sucks. I would not play her at all. Yeah, that's why I should play Julia. She gives you a better potential lethal turn. And then finally, the one of is the Salome. So her skill is if you have 4 or more other Julia. I don't remember her skills. Something having of Julia, something 2k and a crit. And then CB2 call a grade 1 from deck. Grade 1 Julia from deck. Man, this card is kind of sucks without Blaster Blade. You know way to cheat damage. So yeah, the players want her because she's still like an okay card, but she definitely is not amazing. I definitely don't think she should be your heal. Obviously, if you like her, you can play her at 4 instead. It makes the deck shinier after all, but I think this card's kind of whatever. I think Julie has more synergy with this deck. So yeah, this is my deck profile. Ever since I started trying this deck out last season, I played it quite a bit. Yeah. Meme tier 1 Jewel Knight, this deck definitely feels tier 1. This deck feels very powerful. Yeah, this is the deck profile. I know I rambled on a bit, but I always do in these kind of deck profiles. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video or learned something new. If you did, like and subscribe, all the good stuff. Check out my Twitch down below. You can see me play other decks. Oh yeah, one more thing. If you're wondering where the pull video is, I didn't pull this set. This set does not interest me at all. The only new deck you should expect to see from this set should be Maelstrom, and I'm still missing 1 copy of that card because I only have 3 crafts ready, but whatever. Don't expect to pull a video. Don't expect too many deck profiles. I expect this month to be catch up for all the decks that I missed from Brilliant Strike. So expect obviously this. I'll have Tempest Bolt. I'll have Liberators. I'll have anything else. Oh yeah, don't remember. Expect those two, and expect Maelstrom. So yeah, thank you for watching, everybody. Like and subscribe again. Like and subscribe, all the good stuff. Check out my Twitch. Check out the Discord. Check out my Twitter. All the good stuff. Everything's down below in the description, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.